Sonko still defiant. He says that he's ready for his fate and will embarrass those behind the ouster. So as we wait for this hearing to take place at the Senate, let's set the stage for our discussion even in this second half. Now, it's now do or die for Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko as his impeachment motion heads to the Senate. Sonko was impeached by the Nairobi MCAs following accusations of gross violation of the Constitution, among others. The Senate has now called for a special sitting today to hear charges leveled against him and determine the method of prosecuting the ouster motion. Sonko, however, alleges that his impeachment did not meet the required threshold. Giverson Minor had this story.
His Excellency the Governor, Mike Sonko, from office by 2/3 of the members.
Less than a week after Governor Mike Sonko was controversially impeached by Nairobi County MCAs, the Senate has now arranged for a special sitting on Wednesday. The Senate, after hearing the case, will either impeach the governor or save him depending on facts put on the floor of the House. In a Gazette notice prepared by Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka and published on Monday, members shall meet at the Senate chambers in Nairobi on Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. to hear charges leveled against governor and determine the method of prosecuting the ouster motion, either through a special 11-member committee or plenary, also referred to as full house.
MCAs wa Nairobi wameimpeach governor wao. Sasa anakuja kwangu Jumatano tuone vile tutafanya. Hawa ndio wataamua. Mimi ni referee.
Nairobi County MCAs last Thursday accused Sonko of abuse of office, violation of the Constitution and gross misconduct, his refusal to assent to the budget being at the center of his impeachment. The governor, however, alleges that the impeachment motion against him did not meet the required threshold, as over 40 MCAs did not attend. At least 38 MCAs allied to the governor had left Nairobi for Mombasa last week on Monday in a scheme to scuttle the motion, which went on regardless. President Uhuru Kenyatta on Monday rebuked Sonko's leadership while praising NMS days after he was impeached by members of the county assembly, signaling bad blood between the governor and the state, with a section of senators vowing to impeach the governor.
Huyu mnaitanga super governor, mimi sijui hiyo ni matusi, lakini if all of us had the discipline, the integrity of our armed forces, our defense forces, Kenya ingekuwa mbali sana.
And Sonko and Waititu had been allowed to run this forever. They would have ended up as president or deputy. Where are we taking our country? And people can't see. Because they can see far. There's like those Escobar of Mexico. People who use unorthodox means. You see, like, you have your shadow government in the name of Sonko Rescue Team, which does funerals, it does garbage collection, it makes roads, it does everything. I mean, how do you be such an individual? And some whole gang-ho of people who are paid as casual workers, and they are some form of militia. If the resolution to impeach the governor is upheld by the Senate, Nairobi County Assembly Speaker Benson Mutura will act as Nairobi's governor for the next 60 days before a by-election is held. Giverson Minor, K24, Nairobi.
So it stands today as his fate is handed over to the Senate for his hearing. We'll wait and see how that plays out in the House. Having this conversation still in the second half, we have Rosa Wango, Deputy Governor Joash Mangi, and also joined via Skype by David Makali. David, let me start with you on this one as we come back from the break, because a key argument that was put forth in terms of why we need some of these functions taken to national government is the various international bodies in the city, and this being a very unique county as far as that's concerned. But you look at global practice, and you don't really hear of New York changing their laws because the UN headquarters is there, or Geneva changing how they administer the city because they have various bodies in that particular area. Is that the reason, or is this planned all along that at the end of the day, we'll try and take Nairobi County back to national government, regardless of who would have been governor at that point in time?
Well, Jeff, the matter of Sonko is complicated. It's a mix of politics and competence or incompetence together. First, anybody who has followed Nairobi politics prior to the last election, there was a clear determination by a certain clique or faction or certain individuals to make sure that Nairobi is in their control, and hence the pecking order and the arrangement of who was to run for governor and Igathe running as his deputy. There was always suspicion that Sonko was not equal to the task of running Nairobi, but he made it, and hence after that there were always schemes to make sure that they dethrone him or wrest the executive control of the city from him. But being a street smart guy, he always did everything to outwit them, including refusing to appoint a deputy after Igathe's departure. Now, there is merit in saying that being what it is, Nairobi as the capital and the UN seat needs to be properly managed. But that can be done through the established structures of government and our system of government that we've established, so that a county, Nairobi as a county, can elect a proper leader and who can manage the city properly. Certain functions, of course, need to be run by the national government. But if you look at some of the functions which are, not devolved and which still reside within the national government, you want to ask yourself whether these have been any better done than what Sonko or the Nairobi County government has done. I do not support Sonko by any means because of the, this style of government that he's trying to introduce into the city. Sort of thuggery at one point, trying to, militia operations and so forth. Even though he demonstrates the good heart of a good person, administration of the city looked to be a little beyond him. However, the government, in trying to remove him, in the way it has tried to intervene, has not been any better. I mean, it's very unhygienic. Look at how the handover of functions was done. If you look at what happened behind the scenes, it was really, also almost mercenary style as well. So we need government to demonstrate that first it abides by the rule of law, it's procedural in its conduct, and then expect those who it expects to respect the law to do the same. So even as the matter goes to Senate, look at how he was impeached. I mean, the drama around it, the strong arm tactics employed by government, sometimes even in outright breach of the law. These are not matters that we should entertain in the pursuit of civil governance and proper way of doing things. So let him be impeached. Let the Senate rather confirm impeachment. But look at the mess. So what has the government done to prepare for impeachment of Sonko as it has choreographed it? There is no deputy. They did nothing to make sure that a deputy is in place before the impeachment happened. So what we are going to see is perhaps the speaker being installed the same day and being compelled to sign the budget off and so forth. This is not good governance and against our policy. So we must hold the national government to account, as we also hold the county government and other people to account.
Okay, Rosa, I'll come to you on this one as we speak about accountability yet again. And the case of Nairobi County, very curious and very unique. We have a scenario where, as Makali has pointed out, we might not have a governor. We haven't had a deputy governor for 2 years and counting. For an oversight role that the county assembly should play, how does this play out? Do they have what it takes to actually oversight the major general who sits in the national cabinet? What happens from here? We just let it run as it should.
Let me start by saying we need to stop personalizing some of these issues. Sonko's D-Day, I think that's a wrong title. Mm-hmm. It's actually, it's Kenya's D-Day. What do we do? What have we done? We put Sonko in power. He was given a certificate by a political party with his issues. So why are we saying Sonko? Well, we can actually look at the party that gave him the title. We have chapter 6 that we should have implemented, or the political parties should have implemented. Now, if they knew this is the kind of person they are going to give this power, and they really campaigned for him, and now they are removing him, I mean, who is to blame here? They knew what they were doing. So at the end of the day, I would say let's stop personalizing. This is a Kenyan issue. This is Kenyan's problem, and each one of us should be held accountable, and it should start from the political party that gave him the certificate. Mm-hmm. Another issue is this, devolution. We are talking about devolution. And this, what is happening to Sonko is affecting devolution and service delivery in Nairobi.
The president says that it's improving service delivery with the military running these key functions.
He can say what he wants to say, but he's actually affecting the constitution of Kenya. If they wanted to have somebody like Badi, not as a structure, not as this new Nairobi metropolitan thing, but a person as a leader, as a governor, to implement some of these services, that would have been a different issue. Right now, they should actually take blame from what is happening. If this is how Uhuru is trying to fix it, then it's wrong. It's unconstitutional.
Right.
Let me say this. It's unconstitutional. Nairobi is a delicate county. It's delicate. They should have done the right thing from the beginning. They should have done the right thing. If they knew this is the person they had put in power, then, I mean, let's all suffer. I know Nairobians are suffering because of the services, but it's not fair to actually just personalize this issue to Sonko only. Let's take blame. Let Kenyans also take blame for what they do. Yeah.
In terms of precedence, Deputy Governor, do you feel that, you know, they usually say, the Kiswahili saying, ukiona mwenzako na nyolewa, chako kitie maji, kichwa. Because we are seeing this happening in Nairobi County, and some people are wondering, okay, fine, what does when does it stop? Might Mombasa County go through this as well, when the national government feels that, okay, they need to take over from here? Might they come to Kisii as well and do the same thing? What's your perspective and take on what's happening in Nairobi right now?
You know, on a light touch, I wish they did. I wish they came to Kisii. On a light touch.
You don't Kisii Metropolitan Service?
First and foremost, let me say that the argument to make Nairobi a special entity as compared to other counties may have water. It may hold water. But not because we have UN policy in Nairobi. No. But because it is the seat of government. When in 17, when America became independent, with the first 13 states, they made a deliberate decision that they needed to have the seat of government for USA, that is Washington, D.C. They said they need to have to make it independent from any other state, because states are semi-autonomous. So they created a special district called Washington, D.C. that does not have a governor, does not have a state, but there's a mayor, a special mayor, who is funded by the national government, by the federal money, to run special operations for the United States of America at the federal level. That kind of argument may make sense in Kenya, that Nairobi become a special entity. Not because of the special status of Nairobi, it becomes a special entity managed by maybe, you know, a special mayor or a special director because of the centrality of what was in Nairobi, but not because of the UN bodies. Having said that, the way to cure that is not to appoint body. It's not to split. It's not to split some functions and say these functions will be managed by a presidential appointee and these others will be managed by a governor. Because you see, as Madam has said, and I agree with that completely, let's not personalize this Sonko thing. Choices have consequences. The people of Nairobi elected Sonko. And you know, we were warned. An envoy from America came and told us choices have consequences. And we still went ahead and chose Sonko. We cannot come backtrack and say that, oh, what? We chose him. Nairobi chose him, And the right thing to do is what's going on now. Granted, Sonko is a personal friend of mine. But I don't want to personalize this argument. But you know, people can justifiably say that Sonko has not managed Nairobi well. You can see open cases of incompetence. You can see open cases of, you know, but the way to do it is not to split Nairobi. Because you see, the MCAs, because Nairobi or a county is not the governor. In fact, the executive authority of a county is not vested in the governor. It's vested in the county executive, which consists of the governor, the deputy governor, and the 10 CCs. Now, the governor, any decision done by the governor alone is illegal. So the decision by Sonko to transfer function to the national government is illegal. A proper court will nullify that. Yeah. Secondly, Mbadi sits in the cabinet, so he's a cabinet minister. So the MCAs cannot oversight him. So who oversights him? Because the MCAs cannot oversight a governor. They cannot oversight a cabinet minister. So which means that these 4 functions that are being undertaken by Mbadi cannot be oversighted by the county assembly. So when you personalize these things and say to Chukwe, to Perekei, we are killing devolution. If there's a mistake with Sonko, fix it. Remove him and get a better governor. And by now, you know, as I said, we are a young democracy. So, you know, Kenyans still did not know the immense powers exercised by a governor. They thought, you know, anybody can do it. But now, they know Now Kenyans know better. I bet in 2022, if Sonko was to run for governor again, the Nairobians would be very reluctant because they would be saying, other than being popular, we need competence, we need knowledge. So we are learning, but let us not begin fixing mistakes by creating other mistakes.
Okay, I want us also to move it forward because...
And by the way, before we finish, the biggest mistake Sonko did was to push Igate out.
That was where the rain started.
That was blackmailing everybody. Because you see, the cardinal principle in having a deputy governor is to make sure that we don't keep on going back to elections, so that if the governor exits for whatever reason or is sick, the deputy governor steps in. Because he knew that he was going to be incompetent, because he knew that he could be impeached in time and Igate will take over, so he pushed Igate out. That is blackmailing the people of Nairobi. That if you push me out, you have nothing to, you have nowhere to go. So that was a mistake. So I would say politely that Sonko may be the architect of his problems.
Okay, we'll see how this plays out even as it gets to the floor of the Senate later today. But with this particular document, really what the core principles have been touting and very many politicians is that they want to unify the country. They want to bring it together on this particular one. But even as they got to the 5 million signature mark, the statements coming from the politicians doesn't really feel like it's consensus building and they want to be all at one table. It's really join the bandwagon or not. Let's listen to Senator Orengo even as we get our closing remarks from the panel as well.
When the referendum comes, we are not going to have a multiple choice. We are going to have a bill, and you are going to vote on the bill. And judging by these numbers, I think that, the end result would show that we will continue to dance reggae for a little longer than this.
Well, we're back to those drums of reggae. Makali, for a political class that should be leading the way in terms of unifying the country, we're seeing a lot of polarity in that particular space. How is this fixed at the end of the day? Does this process leave us better in terms of unity? Because as President Uhuru Kenyatta says, that's the one legacy he wants to leave, a unified country. Does the BBI at least deliver that? You laugh. Does it deliver that?
I mean, honestly, Jeff, if you flash back a year ago, 6 months ago, is this country more united than it was then? In fact, if you ask me on the unity scale, it's gone down, and I think the president should reflect very deeply on whether he can force this thing through. My own assessment is that a lot of the people in this country are not sold on this matter of the BBI constitutional amendments. They are sold on the handshake. And as I said earlier on, the other proposals, proposed legislative bills, which will help a lot of people, including, I see there's a bill for prompt payments, which will affect lots of people because people are not being paid for service and goods delivered to national and county governments across the country for many years, which is hurting people, rendering them insane in some cases. So there are certain things which are good. But on the matter of the Constitution Amendment Bill, the proposals therein, from the executive to all manner of things, are just not making sense. Just let me, because Joash Mangi spoke about the Prime Minister and the position of Prime Minister and leader of opposition and seemed to appraise these positions as a great thing for us. In fact, that is where the biggest problem lies. We are purporting to be creating a more inclusive government, but where is the inclusivity? We set out on the BBI handshake it was sold as a panacea for two things. One, inclusivity, and two, basically inclusivity and fixing national unity, Now, on the matter of inclusivity, clearly, if you have a president who is appointing the prime minister, and the prime minister is the only one who is being vetted, not even vetted, approved because there will be no vetting by parliament. That prime minister is totally, is a token because one, the prime minister does not even participate in the appointment of the cabinet that he or she is going to lead. Two, the cabinet secretaries right now are at least vetted and the PSs are vetted. In the new proposal, cabinet secretaries will be appointed straight by the president, no vetting, nothing. PSs straight by the president, nothing, no vetting. Deputy ministers also by the president, no vetting, no role for parliament. That is why people are saying this, in fact, creates an imperial presidency because these positions are all giving power to the president to appoint and fire people at will. And then how do you have a prime minister who is approved by parliament? The rest are not approved. He doesn't participate in the appointment. How does that give power to, outsource power to the prime minister? It's basically the president's power still. He can recall it anytime he wants. And then, you know, this whole confusion about the leader of opposition being from the party that is number 2, and then again allowing members of cabinet to be appointed from parliament. Why are we going back to Egypt, to where we left long ago and crossed into a happier land where we have clear separation of the legislature or parliament and the executive? What we needed was to create the bridge, allow the cabinet secretaries to go to the floor of the house and deal with business as before, and then leave the oversight parliament, the role of oversight to be performed by parliament, as is the case now. Look at the kind of amorphous situation we are in now. If you allow the executive to appoint cabinet secretaries from parliament, they'll use it as a carrot and a stick. Those who are critical will be appointed to cabinet. Those who are, sycophants, or who are uncritical will be left. It's going to be the president manipulating the house, at will, which is something we want to move on so that we can create checks and balances. So in a nutshell, the celebration that the BBI amendments are bringing, better governance, are really far from the truth. I will personally not support the amendments to the Constitution.
Okay. Let me bring it to studio as well, even as we wind this up. Deputy Governor, they're talking about unity, at the very least, for this particular document. Do you think it scores on that account?
The answer is straight no. But let me first and foremost, Macaulay complained about not hearing well. So I don't think he heard what I said. I did not say that I support the creation of the post of Prime Minister and 2 Deputy Prime Minister. I said the Prime Minister is nothing but majority leader. I don't care about it. I said I support the creation of the post of leader of opposition. That's the one I support. Not the Prime Minister appointed by the President, nothing. That's the same as majority. But the key thing here is the President asked Kenyans to go and read this document so that we can converse, and speak and see what we can support. And that is what's going on. The conversation is going on. The Raila Odinga side, my party leader, side, and I'm an ODM deputy governor, but I am independent in thinking. And I say that side keeps on saying you can't even change a comma. When you keep saying you can't even change a comma, then you're contradicting what the president said. And that is why I agree with the deputy president when he says, a good idea can give way to a better idea. For example, we are talking about this multiple questions approach. I support that multiple questions approach completely because, let us say, for example, I have agreed that I support the creation of leader of opposition. I've also agreed that I support the devolving of that 5% to counties. But why are you forcing me that if I'm on 4th gears into these 2 principles, I must also 4th gears the creation of a judicial ombudsman? Or somebody else supports the creation of the post of judicial ombudsman, but does not support the creation of leader of opposition. So why can't we have these questions? At the very minimum, we can segregate them and say, on the issue of the executive, we have the following cluster of questions. On the issue of gender, we have the following cluster of questions. On the issue of youth, so that one has a choice. And if one has a choice, I can pick what I want, you pick what you want, and we're still friends. But when you force us, they keep on saying that, Brexit was yes or no, or 2010 was yes or no. But Brexit was on one question. Do you want to get out of Europe or not? In 2010, the question was one. Do you want the new constitution or the old constitution? But in this one, there are several questions. So why can't we separate them so that we can answer them individually? That is the unity we're talking about, so that we don't have to fight. But if you force us to say, wewe sasa kama umekuwa no, mimi nimekuwa yes, tupigane, are we really creating unity? We are actually causing more havoc. We are creating difference, and I agree with Macaulay that this PPI thing has created more disunity than unity.
Rosa, I'll wrap it up with you on this one. And it's the same thing we're talking right now, because at the end of the day, actually this week when the president was launching the Kijana ni Mimi program, very many youth in there, this was to benefit the youth. And he said, once again reiterating the fact that he just wants to finish his development agenda and leave this country united. That was this week. Is he going to do that with the BBI?
No. Let me start by saying this. We are using so much energy and time and resources to talk about a report. Personally, I call it a wish list. But I wish we would spend more time, the same resources and energy in implementing this Constitution, 2010. If we did, some of these activities, some of these wishes would have been implemented. My thing is this. We have issues in this country. We have basic services that are not reaching people at the county, at the ward, at the village level. Can we spend more time getting these services to these people? We have issues that are coming up in January. Teachers will be on strike, as it was said. I'm not sure parents will be able to afford school fees. I'm not sure that even our hospitals have the facilities, the doctors, the medicine to actually deal with some of these diseases that have been with us for a very long time. Pneumonia, diarrhea, cholera, malaria. Now, if we'll stop this BBI business for a minute and just help Wanjiku get these services, it will be good for me. Actually, even for young people. You have been promised since 2013. And now they are talking about a youth council. Commission. What do you think it will do? Nothing for you.
Okay,
nothing.
You'll have to leave it at that.
I would actually say this. Let's stop. Let's linda this katiba. Let's implement it to the latter. If it doesn't work after full implementation, then we can start these discussions of amending it. Okay. Thank you.
Jeff, can I take 1 second and send condolences?
5 seconds, please.
Yes. Let me send condolences to Dr. Mogusu, who comes from my county, who died in COVID. Very unfortunate, the story that is on papers today.
Right.
This is a clear example of how we have neglected our people. Okay. We have neglected our doctors, and it's very unfortunate. From my heart, let me send my sincere condolences to Dr. Mogusu's family, and I am sure we can do better than this.
Okay, that's where we leave it as far as this is concerned. Thank you so much for making time this morning. Deputy Governor Josh Mangi, Deputy Governor Kisii County, thank you so much for time. We also had Deputy Youth Leader NARC Kenya, Rosa Wango, thank you so much for your time. Joining the conversation via Skype, senior journalist and political analyst as well, David Makali, thank you so much for your time and analysis on what we're discussing this morning. And that's why we wind up this particular conversation as far as, devolving the BBI benefits are concerned. The conversation continues online. You can still talk to me at I am Jeff Mote on Twitter. Take a short break. We are back after that as we get interactive. Don't go too far.